What's up, everyone? It's John at National Sports Entertainment, and today, finally, it's been a couple days that we've had this opportunity. We got a bunch of games in play, and like I said in my last video, these didn't jump out at me. Now, sometimes it's like one of those pictures. You look at it a couple times, and then you're like, "Oh, I finally saw it." So that's what I was doing when I was looking through these games, and I want to play a game called Guess the Trap. I want if you guys I went my last video. I went into a couple games, so you might know it already. But yeah, anyone that missed my last one, we're going Hawks here. There's no reason that the Hornets should be 3-point favorites. People are going to be all over Atlanta. Now it did move from 2 to 3. I'm wondering if now I looked. Trey was not ruled out at all, so this I feel like is going to be one of those internal. We're going to rest Trey type deals where not a lot of people that are not on the inside know. As you can see, our bowl games aren't looking great. Luckily, they're first sequences. As I went over before when I picked them, I think a lot of these bowl games are going to be irrelevant. As you can see, there's not much narrative, not much entertainment there going on. So those ones I think are going to be harder to pick. I thought it'd be fun to do all the bowl games, but I think playing every one's going to be a little unfeasible. But we can play the ones that have narratives and things like that. But yeah, there's a reason we made them first legs. So someone put in my comments, I got 600 on Troy. Again, I would never advise things like that. It's the complete opposite of my system. So, hopefully they come in and hit it for him. It's just a lot of things can change. But so here I love Atlanta. Okay, so Atlanta I'm making as a next leg of Troy, should they not win, just because Atlanta, and I mean the Hornets cover here. It's so bad that you want to just say Atlanta because looking at this, Atlanta should win. But Charlotte minus the 3 I love for the next leg of Troy. As I said in my last video, I think Charlotte definitely covers. This one I think the Pistons cover for a few reasons. Kings against the spread metric is one I like to look at. It's one that does help. 17-10, nothing crazy. But usually they're not going to continue, and even if they were to win on this one, I'd probably fade them on the next. I also think 5.5 is a little light for Detroit. I think it should be closer to 8 or 9 here. Yes, Detroit's at home, but I think Fox might be out. But I just don't see the 5. Usually when I see 5.5, it tells me Vegas is going to do an upset, but they can't make it 10 because then the money line has to match that, right? So now you're going to be getting 6. They don't want to pay out 5-6 to 1, but they'll pay out on a money line. This is only going to be less than 2 to 1. So you can kind of see how they manipulate people, and we can use that to guess games. So I do think the Pistons cover. I like the Hawks, fading the Hawks. So Hornets cover, Pistons cover. So we got both home teams so far. And the funny thing is I like a lot of home teams today, and it's not just because they're home teams. It's because of the spread numbers. I do like the Cavaliers to cover. I'm staying away from the Celtics. With big spreads, it can go either way. But I do like the Cavs to cover. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Pacers saying, hey, this is a pretty good team. Again, I think Pacers, Jazz, Kings, there's certain teams that I think are pretenders. And then certain teams like Blazers, Knicks, I think are they're contenders. And the pretenders are your teams like the Pacers. Now, this one's a narrative game. They've set it up. And they are just begging us to take Golden State, aren't they? And maybe, I noticed it moved from like 8 to 10. Maybe they get a small clip. I'm personally buying this to 9.5. I think it might be like a prison pounding, like a 30-point game. But the 10 just makes me a little weary. I'm buying the 9.5. Now, when they look at these type of games, I don't care that Curry's out because I think it's fake anyway. But even in a rigged league, I noticed the injury that's going to matter is Wiggins. Because what happens is when they have Curry out, Clay out, or hurt, but he's playing banged up, Dre out, Wiggins becomes the guy because you got JP. They script it so Wiggins is the guy that's driving and always scoring. Now they got basically DiVincenzo doing that. They don't have Wiggins doing that because he's out. So I don't see them explaining away any kind of scoring. There's not going to be the threes. So they're already starting the narrative they're not the same team. I think Perk was saying basically they were playing this season. It won't let me scroll. I don't know why. You can see it's buffering. But yeah, I like Philadelphia to cover here. I think they blow the Warriors out. And it's funny, Philadelphia Warriors, right? First team to win a championship. So probably some comms in that game. Nets Raptors, I honestly, it's one that can go either way. The Nets are looking really good this year. That being said, I don't think they want to rule out Toronto. I said at the beginning of the season, the Raptors are not going to make the playoffs this year. I thought it was going to be the Knicks or the Wizards. Obviously, I was off with the Wizards, but Toronto's not that marketable. But are they going to pay out the public? Now, you got OG out, of course. So a lot of people are going to be fading Toronto. And you got a healthy Brooklyn. So my question is, why is this an even odds match? Just because they're in the 6? That doesn't make sense to me. So I do like Toronto in this game as well. So the only thing I don't love is when you have a lot of home teams. Obviously, we got the Hornets, Pistons, Cavs, Sixers, and Raptors, all home teams. So a lot of times you'll have a lot of home teams win, but a lot of times it'll wind up being a deal where it splits. So let's hope this is one where the home teams win. Now this is another one. I like the Wolves in this one. I do. I think at this point, enough people are on SGA and enough people are fading Minnesota in any kind of close game like this that normally I'd say that's a trap. They shouldn't be getting 2.5. But they haven't played, to prove that they shouldn't be getting 2.5. So I can see a lot of people taking the money line. But again, I think a lot of people might just avoid this game. I don't think it's going to have the public action other games have. And Minnesota needs the win. Oklahoma City is not going to be a play-in team. They never were. Once Chet got hurt, they basically made us aware of that. So I do like Minnesota to cover here on the road. Now, here's an interesting one. We're going to go into this one last because it's the most ironic. This one, I like the Lakers. Again, I don't. Maybe the NBA is trying to explain, being at home makes you from being what you should be like a sizable underdog to basically 50-50. But I don't know why the Lakers are only getting 1.5 here when you can see that this fake matchup predictor's got 63% on Denver. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. And again, the Lakers are very interesting in when they win, they cover. When they cover, they win. I think this is another example. You can see they split back and forth. And one thing I have noticed is when you see this, a lot of times people are just going to be inclined to go Nuggets. Why? Well, Nuggets, Lakers, Nuggets, Lakers. That's what they're expecting. It's almost like a subliminal thing that's been conditioned. I've noticed lately we did it with the Jazz. We did it with the Clippers the other day. We've done it with the Knicks the other day. We've taken a team that split the first two. Oh, yeah, it was the Suns, Pelicans. And we took them again in Game 3. And they won, like snake style. So I think Lakers win again and win this game. Again, they're trying to convince people this is a play-in team. Well, actually, now they're trying to convince people the Warriors are a play-in team, but Warriors will get in. They're going to do the same thing as last year, only fall way short in the playoffs once they get in. But I do like the Lakers here. Now, Knicks Bulls, since we're playing so many games, why the hell not? We got two things going on here. The narrative, which they just played, and I explained that the Knicks were going to look good because they are going to be a play-in team this year. But I had the Bulls possibly winning because that's why I didn't play the last time they went against each other, because of the trap value. I think a lot of people are going to say the Knicks are way better than the Bulls. So I look at this, 2.5 points. It's a desperate win for Chicago. Knicks are on a nice winning streak. So a lot of me wants to pick the Knicks. And honestly, I'm going to stick with my narrative. And I think the narrative is they're going to push the Knicks as a contender, as a good team. They didn't waste money on $100 million on Brunson or whatever they paid for no reason. And obviously, the Bulls, they'll probably get like 30-something wins this year, but they're not going to be a 500 team. And I don't think they're going to be winning. Now, if it's on ESPN, they might make it a little different. But, yeah, I like the Knicks here. I think they show off. I think they look good. And that leaves my final pick, and I think it's very, very fitting we end on this note because, again, the Blazers are my preseason pick to go along with the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals. And last year, to go to the champion, I had Luka. It was halfway through the year. before I saw what they were doing with Golden State, I really thought they were going to push Luka, have him do it. And then it became apparent they weren't doing it. Like, you see what they did with the Suns last year? They do that every year at teams. So anyway, I watched a lot of Dallas last year, and I'm watching a lot of Portland this year. So it's very bittersweet, I would say, to watch this game, if I'm going to even watch it, to be honest. But I do like the Mavs to cover. You know my feeling on the metric and on traps. And I think, again, they're trying to beg people to take Dallas because it moved from 2.5 to 4. And somebody please explain to me why the Blazers are getting 4 here, when they should be giving 4, in my opinion. Dallas has not proven to be great at home this year. So from an analytic standpoint, if it's real, it makes no sense. Now, let me throw a bone out there for the people that do think it's real. Real or not, this is a great game for the Mavs because they can explain why the Mavs are going to win. It's a matchup disaster for the Blazers. They have guards who can score, but they're shooters. They can drive a little bit, but they're smaller guys. Their only guy that can really play the 2-3 position and then move into the 1 position is Shadon Sharp. And I love the guy, but he's young and exploitable, even in a rigged league. So who's going to guard Luka? Who's going to stop him from just completely having his way? It's not even a game he can sell. He's gonna have to miss more than free throws, like wide open layups and things. And Dame's gonna have to bully him, things like that, for him not to have a good game. And that leaves the other aspect. Dallas is known for shutting down the perimeter. And again, I don't believe these things really matter, but they do make a point of showing, hey, look, Dallas is one of the top perimeter teams. And then, of course, you'll see them shut down the perimeter. So when you have a 3-point shooting team that's small against a point guard that can basically bully anybody, and they shut down 3-pointers, I think it's a matchup disaster if someone's betting on it from that perspective. But I just don't think they continue to 20-9 against the spread, and the Mavs go to 8-19. We are talking the literal best in the league against the spread, against the literal worst, which probably doesn't come up too often. But I do think Dallas needs this win way more than Portland. Like I said, they want to show Portland as a good team. They're going to beat good teams. They're going to win games they shouldn't. But people are fading Dallas so hard right now, I think it wouldn't be the time. So I do like Dallas. So just to recap, we're playing them all because I just want to show people with the more open sequences, you can just so easily gain units. But Hornets cover, Pistons cover. What the hell? Celtics cover, Cavs cover, Sixers cover, Raptors cover, Knicks. I'm going with Knicks to cover, Timberwolves to cover, Mavericks to cover, and Lakers to cover. So those are our plays. We have predominantly home teams, but that's fine because honestly, for like the last week and a half, it's been about a 70% split for home teams. On average, it's about a 60%. On any given day, of course, more away teams can win. But I'm just going by what I like in general. So let's hope they go our way. I think they will. Looking at a lot of these, Cavs, Raptors, Hornets, they just seem like traps. Now, I could be wrong, but I just figured I'd get these out there. That way people, like I said, I've been getting insane messages since a couple, if I don't cover like more than a few games, which I understand. But this way you guys have every pick, and I think it's going to be a pretty profitable day. As you know, at Dallas, they're always going to be a third leg. Not always, but in this situation. And as you know, like the Lakers will be a second leg, most likely. I will probably, like I said, for the Troy one, the Hornets cover became the second leg. So that game, Hornets to cover the Hawks. And for the UTSA loss, you can plug in any of these. You can go with the Lakers, you can go with the Mavs, you can go with the Knicks. It's whoever you like. I personally like games like the Hornets where it looks like a trap, but you might have a different reason for liking a team. So I try and tell people that so they're able to make that discernment on their own if they need to. So yeah, I think tonight's pretty routine. We do well again, probably hit around 60-70%. We might do worse, but if we do, we'll close it up and double, close it out tomorrow. If, say, the Hornets weren't to win, I would most likely just run the under on this game or the Wolves cover as leg 2, or it'd be leg 3, because if I didn't mention, on top of liking the Wolves to cover, I do like the under in that game as well. So, yeah, those are all the ones I like. And, it's every game, literally. And I think we do well. And then I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Sunday with football and all that. I'll see if there's any playable bowl games tomorrow. I just don't want to play irrelevant ones that's going to come down to live action. But, yeah, everyone take care and see you soon.